Welcome to our conflict and peace presentation on the former Yugoslavia. Our research question is, to what extent was the conflict in former Yugoslavia over land versus sectarian differences? Here's our outline. We'll begin with the background information, then the formation of the first Yugoslavia, the curve of conflict, the 6 stages of conflict, then we'll have our conclusion and the bibliography.
Okay, so just to give a little background information, start us off, the Balkans were ruled by the Ottoman and Roman empires, but they were settled by the Slav tribe early on. They became divided into the Croats and the Serbs and all the different groups that we see today, but they were historically ruled as one sort of country or group.
Here's the area of the Balkans.
Okay, so the first Yugoslavia was formed after World War I. It was a kingdom. It was ruled by a series of kings, and it was supported by a group called the Pan-Slav Nationalists, who were in favor of the Slavs sort of being united as a single race. And it was pressured into joining the Axis before World War II, although the rest of the people disagreed with this decision. The second Yugoslavia was formed after World War II, when two groups in Yugoslavia were fighting for the land, and the communist group actually ended up winning, and so that was where Joseph Broz Tito comes from the communist group who won, and that's how he came into power.
Here's the curve of conflict showing the 6 stages of the life cycle of the conflict.
Okay, so this is just sort of leading up to the conflict. The Tito regime didn't make very good economic decisions, and they ended up having an economic crisis in the early 70s, which led to the formation of a new constitution in 1974. And so this also created more ethnic tensions between the poor and rich countries, and sort of created more barriers between the different groups.
Stage 2, the early growth. It started off with the economic growth of the industries in the higher paid countries such as Croatia and Slovenia. Wage levels increased in the organizations, and led to unemployment in the 80s, and productivity remained low. Onto loans. The country was in debt, so it had to have loans from other countries around Yugoslavia. From this, unemployment, it was separated into the wealthier countries versus the lower paid countries, creating a civil war in the Yugoslavia.
Okay, so the third stage is deadlock, which is sort of when the two sides are just in disagreement and fighting with each other. This sort of happened at different times in the Yugoslavian conflict because there was a lot of different sort of mini conflicts with different groups of Yugoslavia. So the first one was the 10-day war in Serbia, which basically gave Serbia its independence. There was the Croatian War, which was actually mostly fought after Croatia was already an independent country. It was fought between a rebel group in Croatia who were in favor of Croatia still being part of Yugoslavia, and another group. And then the Bosnian and Kosovo wars were also wars not only about gaining independence from Yugoslavia, but about which country should rule those areas, because different parts of Yugoslavia were in disagreement.
On to stage 4, looking for a way out. The economic and social affairs. The federal government lost its responsibility for the country. Foreign policy, human rights, and civil rights were reinstated. Now, on April 27th, 1992, new government and new constitutions were reinstated by the people of Yugoslavia.
Okay, so settling the dispute or resolving the conflict. Basically what happened in Yugoslavia is the countries basically ended up getting their independence, and the country of Yugoslavia as a whole failed. And actually resolving the conflict didn't really happen very easily because of all the hurts that had been going on with the heinous acts of war that had happened during this conflict, such as mass rape and what they called ethnic cleansing, which basically was genocide. So.
Stage 6, working together. EU create peace with Yugoslavia, Montenegro, and Serbia to maintain a federal union with greater autonomy with each other. So Montenegro and Serbia, they became a whole, and so those are the agreements between the countries. And some countries have become part of the EU, such as Croatia, who's newly to the EU, and Slovenia. There's still some disagreements, such as Serbia and Kosovo, who have laws against each other. Conclusion. So our research question, which was over the conflict in former Yugoslavia over land versus sectarian differences. Obviously, there was parts of land between the wars, but mostly it was because of sectarian differences between countries, as we had Albania also within because of sectarian differences. And here's our bibliography. Thank you for listening.